Very good. Okay, fine. Yeah, again, kol kavod to everybody. This is a beautiful minhag that's developing over here in Ramot Dek, these Leil Yudins. So I want to just speak really just a little bit to, speak a little bit more b'gadol maybe about the idea of Chanukah and the role that Chanukah plays in our lives, every year, and the idea of what Chanukah was and represents, for Klal Yisrael historically and in the Galus. So I just, there's a few halachos in Chanukah that I wouldn't say that it's not that they don't make sense with the general theme of Chanukah, but there's something that's like a little bit. It wouldn't seem to fit. In other words, we know the idea of lighting the menorah. The main theme of lighting the menorah is Pirsume Nisa, is to publicize the Nes, and we know that this is like it's more important than almost any other mitzvah that we have. There's only two mitzvahs that a person has to sell everything that they have, sell the shirt off their back, just for Dalit Kosos and Ner Chanukah and Ner Shabbos. We learn by extension from Ner Chanukah, and it's all because of Pirsume Nisa, to publicize the Nes. That's the most important thing. And then we find a few interesting halachos, about the placement of the menorah and what we do with the menorah that wouldn't seem to maximize the publicity potential. In other words, if the theme of this mitzvah was how do we maximize people seeing the menorah and maximize its exposure, so there's a few halachos that would seem to not big things. These are not like big kashas on Chanukah, but just a few things that wouldn't seem to fit into this that I want to try to to explain. So, first of all, if you brought your Shulchan Aruch with you, so just so we could look around. I put it on the WhatsApp group. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't just but in Taf Reish Ayin Aleph, it's just just to see inside. We'll see a few halachos together. So this is where it tells us Taf Reish Ayin Aleph. This is where it tells us that even an ani misparnis ben tzedakah, even a person who doesn't have any money, shoel mocher ksuso, he has to borrow money. Or not even for Shabbos we don't borrow money, right? But he has to borrow money or sell his clothing in order to buy shemen, in order to buy oil and light. But yet the Shulchan Aruch tells us, where do we place the menorah? So the optimal place, which Baruch Hashem we get to do here, most of us, I guess, anyway, grew up in Chutz La'aretz where we, lived inside or by the windows or whatever, and was, like the whole simon in Shulchan Aruch, that's basically, not Nogea in Chutz La'aretz, and, over here in Eretz Yisrael, Baruch Hashem, we get to do things right. So, the optimal place to light, Alach L'maisa, for those of us who have a little bit of a gate or something in front of your house. So, the best place to light that at that entrance gate, that's the best place that you're supposed to light. But the height of the menorah, the Shulchan Aruch tells us, Minicho l'mala migimel tfachim. You have to put it above 3 tfachim. But where's the best place to place it? Mitzvah. Where's the best place to put it? Mitzvah anicho l'mata me'asara tfachim. But the best place to put it is lower than 10 tfachim. So that's really low, right? In other words, you want to tell me that it can't be lower than 3 tfachim? Okay, great. That makes a lot of sense. If it can't be basically on the ground. But if we're trying to maximize exposure of the menorah, we're trying to maximize people seeing it, so put it high up. We know it can't be more than 20 because then you don't see it there either. But put it at eye level, put it somewhere. But what's this business of really down low over here? You have to kind of bend down to get it. How is that maximizing the exposure of the menorah? If that's the whole point, that's one idea. Another idea is that, and this is really a subject of machlokes, but the time at which we light. So if you look in here again, in Taf Reish Ayin Hey. This is Taf Reish Ayin. Where's this man? Taf Reish Ayin Beis. I'm sorry. Yeah, Taf Reish Ayin Beis. This is where it talks about the zman of when you're supposed to light. So the Shulchan Aruch tells us, "Ein madlike ner Chanukah kodem shetishka achama." You can't light before Shkia. Ela im sof Shkiasa, at the end of Shkia, which is Tzeisa Kochavim, and that's the minhag according to the Shulchan Aruch. That's what many people do in Chutz La'aretz. However, the Mishnah Brewer brings for many of the Achronim, and this is the most people do this over here, in Eretz Yisrael, that we light at Shkia itself. I don't know if that's what people do here. Is that what you guys do? Yes, I light at Shkia itself, and that's what what the Mishnah Brewer brings down. Also, and that's the right time to do it. Really at sunset, you daven mincha, come home, and then light over them. So again, that's also interesting. If our idea is to maximize people seeing the menorah, so then it makes sense to say like the Shulchan Aruch, to light at nighttime when you're going to see it and it's going to be there. Why is lighting when it's still light outside and people are walking by and they won't even notice it? Why should that be the main time that you're supposed to light? Again, not such a strong question because it is a machlokas, but the Maisa, what we do, the practice that we follow, doesn't seem to maximize the Prisumidisa. And finally, in Tafresh Ayin Hey is another halacha that we have of hadlaka osa mitzvah, velo hanacha. The lighting is what does the mitzvah, and not placing it. She'im haisim munachas b'mekoma shalola she'mitzvahs Chanukah madlika sham ve'ein tzarech lasir. It depends on where you light it, not on where you place it. If you light the menorah in a place where you can't be yotzei, and then you move it, you're not yotzei, and vice versa. And again, the question is like, I understand. So I'm doing the ma'isa, I'm doing the mitzvah, and I'm lighting it. But let's say after, I can maximize the exposure by moving it, or I found a better place, now to put the menorah, or now my kids are asleep and I'm not worried about them, knocking it down. So I should be able to move it to put it somewhere else where the exposure will be maximized. So but that's not what we say. We say it's only at the time of the hadlaka itself, the ma'isa of the mitzvah itself. That's the whole idea. So again, these are not like rocking kashas that gonna make us not understand Chanukah at all. But these are like somewhat interesting if our ideas try to maximize our exposure of this mitzvah. So I want to just go through with you just a few lines here and there. The Sefer Pri Etz Chaim and the Sefer Chaim Vital, explaining a little bit of the deeper ideas behind our tfilos and the chagim and these types of things of what we do and why we do it. And he explains in such a beautiful way about what the whole theme of Chanukah is. What is the mitzvah of Chanukah? What is the chag of Chanukah all about? And once we understand this, and then all of these things are not just pashut, but it's like obvious that this is the way that we're supposed to do the mitzvah, and this is what the mitzvah, this is what the mitzvah is for. And he explains in the following way. We, Klal Yisrael, we know that the Shekhinah is always with us, right? The Shekhinah, that aspect of Hashem, that part of Hashem, that's the one that's, afilu b'toch tu masam, even in our Tumah, even in our Galus, no matter where we go, the Shekhinah is there, it's always with us, it's always connected to us, it's always, protecting us like our mother, watching over us and taking care of us, even in Galus and even in the darkness. Now, most Yomim Tovim, and Shabbos for that matter, which we'll see, comes up a little bit later, but most Yomim Tovim, what happens is in the Ma'arechet HaKadusha, in the system of spirituality in Shemayim, so the Shekhinah gets an aliyah, right? On Shabbos the Shekhinah goes up to a certain place, and on Rosh Chodesh the Shekhinah goes up, and on Yomim Tovim, and each Yom Tif it goes to a different place, and we, Klal Yisrael, we get our aliyah through our connection to the Shekhinah. For example, on Yom Kippur, the Shekhinah goes all the way up, to the highest levels that it can go to, in spirituality, and all we need to do is latch on and go along for the ride by not eating, by not drinking, by not. That's what we need to do to go along for the ride with the Shekhinah. The same thing on Shabbos. We don't do malacha because we are with the Shekhinah in another place where if we're doing malacha, it's antithetical to what we're to where we are. It rips us down from there, right? That's what kares is, right? So whenever there's a Yom Tif, so we're always with the Shekhinah getting an aliyah, going up to a high place. But again, whatever that means, but that's what's going on. But he says Chanukah is the exact opposite. Chanukah is completely different because the whole point of Chanukah is to show us that we don't need to be all the way up there in order to be connected. And on the contrary, even in the darkness of Galus, and even in the Choshech of Yavan, the Choshech of Galus Edom, the Tahom of Galus Edom, of where we are, even where we are, the Shekhinah is here with us, and not only is the Shekhinah here with us, but Hashem comes down, so to speak. Hashem is connected to the Shekhinah fully, even all the way down here. The Shekhinah doesn't need to go up elsewhere in order to be infused with the the kedusha, and for us to be connected with it. And he says, if you understand this, as this really explains, all of the ideas, of why we light, where we light, and and how we light, and all of these things. He said, first of all, this is where you understand why we light so low down. We're lighting low down. Obviously, again, the idea is for people to see the menorah, but the idea is that the Shekhinah is staying down here with us on Chanukah. On Chanukah, right, we could do malacha, where there's no, it's not a Yom Tif, there's no kedusha to the Yom, right? We're staying here in Olam Hazeh, and the Shekhinah is here in Olam Hazeh, and the kedusha is coming down here. It's coming down to the Shekhinah. So we're like, bringing down the light, so to speak, to the Shekhinah. That's the representative of the shefa, of the or. A person should be thinking about this when he brings his down that that we're bringing or anu mamshichin la or min harosh. The light is going down to the Shechina in Chanukah. That's what we're doing with the mitzvah of Ner Chanukah. And he says that's also why we light at Shkia. It's interesting, Al Pi Kabbalah, the Arizal or Chaim Vital, they say not like the Shulchan Aruch. They say to light, at sunset, because he says, the whole idea of Galus, the whole concept of Galus, is like, going into the night, as the sun is setting down, that's like, Klal Yisrael going into the Galus, which is what was happening at the time of Hanukkah. You mentioned, we still had the Beis Hamikdash for over 100 years, but we were already in Galus, right? People don't always appreciate this. We were in Yerushalayim, just like today, right, frankly, in the capital of Israel. We were in Yerushalayim, in the Beis Hamikdash, and in Galus at the same time. People have this idea of Galus, you have to be in America or France. It's like, no, they were mamish living in Yerushalayim with the Beis Hamikdash, and that was Galus Yavan. They were still in a state of Galus, and he says, that's why we light with the sunset, because that's when it's entering into the midah of night, that's why, like with the sun, again, so to speak, like the Shechina, is going down, into the darkness. And the same thing, he says, that's also why it's the hadlaka, lighting it, that's the mitzvah, and not moving it. Because that's the whole point. The whole point is we're not moving the Shechina up from her place, like it happens on Yom Tif and Shabbos, right? So even if I could technically, find a better place to bring up the menorah to, no, we don't do that on Hanukkah, because the whole point of Hanukkah is we don't need those aliyos. We're not focusing on the aliyah of the Shechina. We're focusing on the shefa coming down. We're bringing light down to the Shechina. Hainu hadlaka, through this hadlaka, through this act that we're doing by bringing this or down to the to the Shechina itself. And that's that's the idea behind Chanukah. That's the whole story. This nace, like everyone's talking about, beautiful Torahs about the nace. The nace happened in a very subtle way. It wasn't like the nisim of Yetzias Mitzrayim, and and the other great nisim like we have. It was a nace al pi derech hateva, because we were heading into Galus. We were heading into the time of Hester Panim, heading into the time where we were not going to be able to see Hashem clearly, and yet still hang on to Hashem, still hang on to the idea of seeing, like the Reuben brought out from the Ramban, of still seeing Nes and Teva. It's all Hashem. It's all just the things that we're used to and the things that we're not used to. And that's the whole idea of Hanukkah, the whole message of Hanukkah. That a Jew is a Jew with the Shechina, even in the depth of Galus, even in the darkest places, and even in the lowest places, where we're still remembering the Nisim, we're still remembering Hashem running the world, bringing the Or to the Shechina down to us, down where we are. That's also why Hanukkah is in the winter time. It's like right now, going into the deepest part of the winter. It's also Rosh David Valley speaks about this. It's also during the time of like the greatest tumah in the Christian calendar. Right, Hanukkah always comes up around the same time as the the Christian calendar, the Yom Tovim, because it's really representative of the fact that in the darkest, coldest days of Galus. So the Shechina is still there with us, and the Shechina is still getting all of its shefa, all of its or, all the way down to us, where we are, and that's the lighting of the candles. That's what we're trying to do to give ourselves that shefa, that or. So we should be zoche, all of us to see the or of Chanukah, to be zoche, but to see the light in the night, like we saw, and continue learning, continue the chizuk over here, and Amot, Hashem. Okay.